Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is January 17th. You're listening and watching the Daily AI Show live. And today is all about the AI news. So that is what we're going to be focusing on. We got a small crew today. We got Beth, Karl coming in right under the wire. I'm Brian. And today is all about, sort of the AI news. Every Wednesday we talk about the news, what happened in the last basically 7 days. And, things are changing every week. So there was a little bit of a, as you would expect over the holidays, a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a slowdown. But it seems like we're off to the races already in 2024, and things have picked up pace once again. And I don't really see it slowing down for the rest of 2024. So couple different things to talk about. I think maybe let's hit maybe the biggest one first, if you will. And the biggest one I saw, you guys may disagree, was the announcement about Microsoft's Copilot and what that means. Oh, cool. We got Robert too. Fantastic. Robert's here. All right. Hey, Robert, we're just getting going. So I was saying that the first news story that I think I felt like in the last 7 days was the biggest announcement would be the Microsoft Copilot. Read through it. The thing is, I personally, so I'm looking to you guys on this. I personally don't use Microsoft products. At my current company, we use all the Google suite, and that's already had some AI built into it. At my last company, we were heavily involved with Microsoft 365, and I think this would have been, a massive deal. But I'm curious to you guys, are you guys currently using any of the Microsoft products? Do you see this? Is this currently helping you with Excel, PowerPoint, these kind of things?
So can you hear me? My mic working?
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So shameless plug, my wife's a bookkeeper, as well as a CPA, and she's got a side business that does bookkeeping. Anyway, long story short, she uses the Microsoft 365 suite, which allows me to have access to it. So I've asked her today, could you go ahead and sign up for that? Because I need to try it out. It's a work expense, right? So yeah. I haven't quite been able to try it out, but I'm just like you, Brian. I'm not going to be able to offer much more than what you just said, because I really use the Google suite. I used to never use Google, and now I'm like, it's so easy because it's the cloud-based. It's and so I'm going to force myself, and maybe we can do an update call on this, but I am equally curious as to how Copilot-y it really is. But there was a post by Ethan Mollick on this topic, if anybody read it, and he was like, hello, you're getting rid of jobs. The process that he went through to basically use the Copilot functionalities are things you would have asked a team to do. And it's he was pretty blunt about it. I was like, oh, this is pretty important. But anyway, what are everybody else's thoughts?
I also don't use Microsoft products, and I'm laughing because I'm wondering, are early adopters of AI a group of people who are not super Microsofty? But Karl and I had this conversation yesterday. Microsoft has such deep inroads to general business people that that I think it's important, as someone who's interested in AI, to be able to speak to this fluently. So even though I'm not a user of Microsoft stuff, that is on my checklist to maybe in another week or two to spend the $50, which would get me the suite and the Copilot, and just play with it. But I've already had a conversation with someone about can you explain Microsoft Copilot to me? And I'm like, okay, so that means many things.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about what you're asking about and why you're asking the question.
And it's tricky too, right? Because we've seen this. I mean, Microsoft is probably the worst offender of this, the renaming of things. So Bing image creator is now called Designer, I think it said in this article, this Verge article. And okay, so if somebody just randomly asked me about, do you use Designer? I'd be like, no. And then they'd be like, oh, it used to be called Bing image creator. I did that research to find out. I'll be like, oh yeah, no, I've done that. So I think it's moving so fast, and they're renaming the few things they already had out there. Copilot's been out, by the way, for several months. It was just at the business level, and now it's trickled down to the more individual level.
Right.
I'll say this could be huge for AI literacy and adoption, because although maybe several of us aren't necessarily like what Microsoft would call a power user. I used to work with people in the business intelligence side all the time because of the BI tools and stuff that they have inside of Microsoft. And I dealt and talked to power users all the time. So I actually think this is massive because this is bringing AI to a suite of tools as an assistant that, you know, millions of, I don't know what the number is, use this product day in and day out. They have been embedded. You know, think of, I don't want to just pick on governments, but think of any like legacy companies where they have been using like a 365 or Excel forever. They are not switching over to Google Sheets anytime soon. It would be a massive untangling of problems and codes and scripts that they've written, all this stuff. They're not doing it. They're sticking with Microsoft Excel. So you have all these, all these end users who maybe haven't touched ChatGPT. Maybe they've messed with Bing a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, by the way, you have all these amazing AI tools now that you can use it, you know, for PowerPoint to help you start a PowerPoint, you know, with a blank sheet to help you get started with your writing, in your Outlook emails, cross functionality between that. It's a big deal. I'll say that it's a big deal, even though I'm not touching it myself, and I'll be interested, Robert or Beth and Karl. I don't know. Do you use any Microsoft products at all?
No, it's just so funny because last year we moved everything to Google, and currently for our AI business, we're like on Google as well. But I think for us, we are going to purchase the Office 365.
Okay.
Not Office 365, the Copilot, which the reason why is because I've already gotten asked a couple times, hey, could you help with Copilot for Microsoft? And I was like, I mean, Bing? It's like, no, we have it, not Office 365, but we have like Azure and stuff like that. And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to buy it more so to learn it and to apply it, because I have a feeling a lot of clients, especially in the target audience that we're looking at, that is the suite. But which is interesting too, because it's rolled out just like Copilot 365, just like Duet. I'm kind of skeptical there's an actual implementation or education portion of it. I feel like, hey, it's here. You can do this. Here's a couple slick videos. Yeah. That's it. Go to town, right? Which I think like, hey, for people to use it, one, they need to know it's there. And two, they actually have to understand how to use it beyond just write me an email. Like, you can do that. Like, there has to be something that makes it back.
That's what I did a post on LinkedIn, exactly that point, Karl, that there's a huge canyon of, what do you call it, knowledge deficit, right? It's great. You have this great tool and all these people have access to it, or a company might buy it for your employees. They have no idea how to maximize. It's like if you I use this analogy all the time. I'm old enough to remember, maybe Brian is as well, an accountant in the team when I first started at a company. He used the green sheets. He was like 60 years old. He didn't use Excel. He was a comptroller, and he was like doing it on paper. And every month the financials were done on paper. Can you imagine? Okay, no more of that, man. Here's Excel. And he'd be like, what? It'd be absolutely a canyon there. Yeah. So now you're giving them this Copilot, and they don't realize how to use it. So that's why the training is going to be absolutely crucial. That's why companies need to invest in it. And there's going to be people like us that go to companies and train them. But another point I want to piggyback off of Beth's is not really her point, but she made me think, Bing, they did a play, right, a year ago. Hey, everybody, download Microsoft Edge and we'll force you to use this in order to get access to Bing, in order to force you to access to GPT. This is another one of those. It's like, hey, you sign up for Microsoft 360, but you're going to get Copilot. So all of us just basically said, yeah, we might sign up for it just so we can get access to it. But obviously we're just trying to play with it. Isn't that funny? That's a huge market share play.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting too is like, okay, when any of us use any Google products, Excel or Microsoft products, it's not like all the features of Excel or Google Sheets. No, you don't. There's very specific use cases.
20% maybe. You're using 20% of its functionality. Yeah.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
then there's
maybe.
that one person in the organization. It's like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. It's like it's always been there, but you just didn't know. You could do that. So I'm worried that you put this play and it will become kind of like it's there. People use 20% of it, but it's just part of the suite of tools. And you're like, oh, okay, fine, I can write
Yet another app. Yeah. Yet another functionality. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can write my email for me. Cool. Yeah.
Well,
and here, a couple things here. I'm sorry, Beth. Go ahead, and then go ahead.
Just a related point, Microsoft also came out and said, oh, by the way, while you've been able to use GPT-4 for free with the free Copilot, now that's only going to happen in off hours, right? So like if you really want the GPT-4 functionality now, really you should be doing the $20 a month so that you
and by
can
the way, it's
basically
Turbo, GPT-4 Turbo.
Yeah.
So, which is it's supposed to be even a better, like, and it says better performance in peak hours. So kind of the whole thing. One thing I want to mention, because we just haven't said it yet, is that one of the things they said was like, oh, there's also going to be a Copilot GPT builder. Sounds very similar to what's inside of ChatGPT. So that will be interesting, especially if it's not cross-platform, but cross-app functionality. So if I can inside this, I don't know if you can or not, but inside this, if I can create a custom GPT for my team that kind of does what we would see through a Zap sending something to Slack, but in their case, it's, hey, I know we do this all the time. This stuff comes from this transcript and goes into this document, kind of like a respell thing, and it's always going to land in Teams on this channel or whatever. And I can build a Copilot custom GPT that essentially just works as a automation tool internally. That's pretty cool. I would see a lot of value.
I will say though and that's kind of their angle, and that's what they're hoping for, and that's they're trying to pull people into their ecosystem. But as you know, every one of us, we bounce around. We bounce around with Microsoft products to Google products. We're agnostic to all of them. And a lot of organizations, they're also the same way. They might use a Slack or something that's not related to the Microsoft ecosystem. And so you're going to lose that data set. Like if you say, scour my database or my SharePoint drive for Excel documents, PowerPoint documents, Word documents, and emails, and messages from Teams. That's brilliant, right? And provide me with a synopsis or an update on this project that we're working on. Oh, we forgot that one of our team members does all their work over here in Google. Now you lost that as a metric or a data set. So I think that it could be ways to consolidate that also, but the reality is most companies are already embedded in that their agnostic piece. So anyway, I think we should go into more news.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's I think this is a great topic, by the way. Copilot in general is its own show, but like it's good to know that all three of you guys are probably going to dip your toe into it from different angles. So this will be great, and it'll probably be a couple weeks. I don't think it's going to be anything next week, but I love that we're going to come back to this and get some like boots on the ground type reactions to Copilot. I think it's got a lot of potential, and I think it's going to do a lot for AI literacy, because like my wife who works for government, I mean, SharePoint, she has to deal with, it's like cold chills go down your back when you say SharePoint. She has to deal with SharePoint every single day of her life, whether she wants to or not. And it's not going anywhere. The Department of Health in Florida is going to be SharePoint for the next 20 years, no doubt, So tools like this could actually bring where she's sort of beating against and saying, hey, there's these really cool AI tools, and the people above her saying, ain't no way, no chance, this ain't coming in or whatever. This may actually be the door. This could be the Trojan horse in for users, power users who are looking to use AI tools to get in. Okay, I know we can keep talking about this. New news. I don't know who wants to go. Who's got a news?
I just have a quick follow up to last year's news, to last week's news. Jesus, what is time? Last week's news was, the Rabbit R1. Is that a great idea or is that a really stupid idea? That's still out, but they sold 40,000 units in 4 days.
They sold out. They sold out of them.
So whether it's a great idea or a stupid idea, it is a lucrative idea. So really,
hold on.
40,000 suckers.
Who bought 4? There's like, it isn't 40.
Andy bought 4,
right? So if people bought, because I've seen Tyler bought 3. Tyler did, yeah. So like, I was like, it isn't 40,000 people. It's like 40,000 units. So I'm like, and people were buying multiple of them, which
Yes.
I was like, that's very. I am still kind of. I was like, I'm like, if this pops, maybe version 2, just like Vision, but that's in the news too. But like, I was like, I'm just gonna keep my eye on that because it'll be interesting. But then I saw the person do it on their phone, who cloned it on their phone. I'm like, oh,
Basically.
if not, hold on to see. I'm like, hold on a
Well,
second.
Beth, you had a good point in this, and we'll just as we'll go on the new news. But you put something in our internal Slack channel, and you're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this isn't for us," meaning maybe our generation. I don't know all our ages, but I'm 45, so like clearly, I looked at it and I was like, "Dumb as hell," right? And but to your point, and I admit this too, not probably made for me, not for my demographic, you know. It's not for 45-year-olds. I mean, that's okay too, right? Like it's a different technology, has a different aesthetic. You know, I never really understood Minecraft and things like that because I was like, why would we go backwards in graphics? That makes no sense to me. Clearly, if somebody had told me to invest in Minecraft or whoever makes Minecraft, I would have missed out on a huge opportunity. So
basically what he's saying is don't listen to Brian. He doesn't know he's not a futurist. He doesn't see the future.
No, I do.
In a lot of ways, probably so. And we'll see. I cannot wait to have follow-up conversations about the R1 and whether once it gets in hands, oh my God, I can't wait to have that show. But until then, we're all speculating.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. I do have. Anybody else have
go
news?
for it.
Okay, yeah. So I have a couple of articles that I came across my desk today. I think would be worth sharing visually so people can take a look. Those who are watching, obviously. So the first one being ChatGPT. Let me look at. Oh gosh. Okay, I'll just do this. Oh, I'm sorry, Google Ad. This came across the information today, which I thought was very telling. Google ad sales unit to cut hundreds of jobs. I know hundreds and a 30,000 person ad sales team is not that much, but what does it tell you? It says comes as Google is relying, if I can highlight this, on more machine learning techniques to help customers buy even more ads on its search engine. These tools don't require much employee attention. They carry relatively few expenses. So the ad revenue carries a high profit margin, it says a Google spokesman. So what are they saying? They're saying AI is making it easier for us to roll out products that don't require a human to help sell, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Just to follow up on that, Robert.
Yep.
My brother was working for a media ad agency for like 2 or 3 years, and since when he started till he ended, he saw a big shift the last year and a half where it's mostly like the ad platform was mostly AI driven. He's like, the AI was so much better than even like us manual. And so he's like, I didn't even need to talk to anybody. And whenever a Google rep tried to talk to them, they're like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. The AI can do
it's very similar to car dealerships, right? I know more than the car dealer salesperson when I walk in there. Same thing here, right? Because there's so much access out there.
Just real quick on that, then the Google ads thing. Like I ran Facebook ads in 2015. I was running it for myself and other companies, and holy moly, was it complex. But I am no doubt in my mind that AI can absolutely run circles around what I was able to do. Just the idea of standing up 20 different ads at once, which is the way you sort of bulk upload and they're A/B split tested, that can be done by algorithms nowadays. And it pulls them down the second it knows that's not the winner, which is going to save the company much more money. It's crazy. Right. So yeah, that totally makes sense to me. Go ahead, Robert.
So the next one that came across today was Stable Diffusion, or Stability AI, I should say, has released a new language model. Haven't been able to get too much on it because I just got it this morning, but it supposedly can operate offline without a GPU. That's pretty impressive. So it's a Stable Code 3 billion is what it's called. Accurate responsive code completion. So I think that's pretty interesting, worth considering get another language model. So you can take a look at this article on that. This is interesting. OpenAI announces a team to build crowdsourced governance ideas. And Ben's Bytes, if anybody follows that, he actually, or he or they, did a summary of each one of those 10 different departments. That's not it, darn it. That's the wrong article. So there's 10 different departments, and give me a second and I'll click on the link again. Yeah, our summary.
Nope.
That's not it. His links are not working. Is this one?
That happens sometimes.
No, that's not it either. Anyway, so I was reading it this morning, so my bad. I can't find it now. So never mind.
I find that really interesting because right after the GPT store came out, OpenAI had an Ask Me Anything on their Discord. And it was two people who were part of the GPT, and you got to ask lots of questions. You didn't get to ask questions about like how they ranked things because they didn't answer any of those. None of those showed up in the actual thing. But they did say, if you have ideas for us, put them here. We do actually read. So they are crowdsourcing off people just making comments in their forums, and that's very cool that they're like formalizing that in some kind of way. I like that.
Okay, I found it, by the way. And of course it's not loading. Daggum it. There it is. Okay, so here are the 10 departments. They're really interesting what they call them. I can't quite understand why these particular categories. And so the point they're trying to do is they're creating teams supposedly to basically bring in public thoughts or input, public opinion. And so, I mean, democratic fine tuning, value elicitation for model tuning. What does that mean? And so it's like hard for me to get my mind around what these different teams are designed to do and how they interface with the public. But it's another play at OpenAI, trying to shift public opinion and governance and that kind of thing, which, duh.
So for people listening to us, can you just pull it up and we'll just like quickly.
Oh, sure. Sorry. Didn't want to dominate too much of the news. There it is again. Okay. So the 10 teams are case law for AI policy, collective dialogues, deliberation at scale, democratic fine tuning, energize AI, generative social choice, inclusive AI, which this is that their definition of that is decentralized decision making for underserved groups, making AI transparent for Rappler. I don't even know what Rappler is.
What is Rappler? I'm not sure what Rappler. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, offline online discussion linkage. I don't know what that means. So Ubuntu AI, and then the Taiwan and Chatham House, which I know Chatham House is a term for a type of dialogue. Is that correct? It's a framework.
Recursive participatory process. So I would think.
Yeah,
so.
it's some kind of term that they use for dialogue. Anyway, so those are the different groups, teams.
Hey, I want to call it before we jump onto another thing. Anne joined in. Morning, Anne. Thank you as always. Thank you as always. And she said, I'm late to the party. Are we talking about ChatGPT teams? No, but if you go listen to our show Monday, today's Monday, we dove into ChatGPT teams even more and talked about what we currently know and all that good stuff. So we talked about it last week, but then we also brought it back on Monday. Okay, let's see. What other topics? We got about 10 more minutes here. So what else we got?
I do have one, and I'll share the link with that in the where would I share that link? I'll share it in the actual show, but it's the episode 6, Bill Gates. I forgot what it's called.
Bill
Gates. Yeah, it's with Sam Altman, and they talked about a lot of different things, but I think for this audience, it's really about the progress and potential of AI, where he said in the next 2 years, there's things like multimodality, improvements in reasoning, significance of customizability, personalization, AI in society. And I think for those who really, the most interesting thing that people try to pull out of is GPT-5, which they never talked about dates. They never talked about but over the next 2 years, which I'm assuming, and then they also talked about AGI. So the assumption that everybody's making is that GPT-5 is coming, he said soonish. So within, I don't know, this year sometime, but probably at least in the next 2 years, there will be a GPT-5, and the improvements multimodality and especially the reasoning capability of that will be significantly improved. So though it's definitely worth a listen to.
Yeah, and on that note, he's been making the rounds. He even, I actually caught it on YouTube yesterday. It was suggested to me. He did about a 35-minute interview. It was both him and I don't know her name, unfortunately, but it was on Bloomberg.
Anna Makanju?
Yes.
On top of that, which I'll post too in the notes, is a lot of AI conversations is currently at the World Economic Forum.
Right,
So
they're in Davos.
Yeah, so
that's where he was.
Conversation. Yep. So definitely worth having a, just going to YouTube and it'll be all there.
Yeah, that 35-minute interview from Bloomberg was really good. They covered a lot. The interviewer, I don't know who he was, but he covered a lot of different topics. One of which, and it's sort of a news story, but kind of, an ongoing 2024, is obviously in the States, at least, there's going to be just a lot of conversations about the upcoming elections. And while I have no intent to get into politics on this show, it's obviously a very real thing. There's a lot of concerns there. I mean, AI is much more powerful in the mainstream than it was in 2016 or 2020. So certainly 2016 and obviously 2020 as well. And so this is a very real thing. And so there was a lot of questions to Sam about this. What is OpenAI doing about it? And I think his answer was basically like, it would be scary if I said I wasn't concerned about it, or we weren't thinking about this a lot, and so he got into that. I'll let people go and watch the interview because it was just a good interview, but certainly in the news, and will continue. It's not like this last 7 days news. It's only going to continue to be more and more in the news over the next several months as we gear up towards elections. So, definitely something to keep a watch on. And if not for like what your political affiliations are, whether you're even in the States listening to this, but more like, what are these companies planning on doing? OpenAI wasn't really anybody was talking about in the last election. So like, what are they going to do? How are they going to treat disinformation, misinformation? So that was in the news as well. And will continue to be, certainly not a just this week flash in the pan type thing. So I wanted to bring that up as well. Good interview though.
So, I posted a summary of that on the chat for those who want to see it.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Jumi's not here, so I'm going to do the medical one, science medical one. Google developed AMIE, AMIE, a medical diagnosis AI, and this got AMIE is designed to ask intelligent questions, reason through diagnoses, and communicate empathy with patients. And so in a system where you spend less time with doctors, being able to both have have something elicit the information in a diagnostic kind of way and then help clarify information, this seems like a positive. I know a bunch of people are already sort of Googling, right? What could my diagnosis mean, or what could this mean as a diagnosis? And this seems to be something with a much more trained back end, right?
Yeah,
so it is an LLM designed to do this, which is likely better than Google.
I am so bullish and so excited about AI in healthcare. I talk about this all the time. I think if I was to pick one area, one industry that I am like the most excited, that I think will have the largest impact on humans, period, it's got to be AI in healthcare. I mean, just holy moly, the amount of lives that I think are going to be saved early, during detection, during treatment, post-treatment, all the above. I mean, I lost my mom at she was 56, which is crazy to think about these days, to breast cancer, and the millions and millions and millions of other people who have similar stories to that. Just to think that perhaps with different treatments, especially in cancer, perhaps my mom would still be around in her 70s, and so it's very real to a lot of us. But man, am I excited about that. And I just I can't, every time I hear a new story like that, Beth, I get so excited. I'm like, it's coming. It's coming. I mean, a lot of it's here already, but oh man, it's like, you just feel like between CRISPR and all these other things, holy cow, do we really have a exciting future when it comes to healthcare and treatments and things like that.
We should do a show on AI and healthcare, because I have lots of opinions about it. So I definitely agree with you. Mostly my opinions are, I don't trust doctors in general. I think that they all it's a by committee, and they don't have all the information all the time. And so one doctor over here it isn't, and they don't have all the information. They don't use all the information, or they're lazy. And so I feel like having AI in the mix makes them accountable, makes them more knowledgeable, makes them better at their jobs, just like it's making it better at our jobs. And they're less on a pedestal. Like, I think we put doctors too much on a pedestal. They just went to school, just like you and I did. They just have a knowledge base over here that is easily done through books and training and learning, just like anything else. Anyway, my point is, I'm with you, man. I really
let's
agree.
do it a show on it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds great. I know we're sort of out of time here. I'll give one quick rapid fire one because it just leads into tomorrow's show. There's Elon Musk posted a picture of the Optimus, which is their robot, their humanoid looking robot. And it's folding a shirt. On its face, it's like, I mean, it's clearly attached to cords. And then Elon said, Optimus cannot yet do this autonomously, but certainly will be able to do this fully autonomously and in its arbitrary environment, in parentheses, won't require a fixed table with a box that only has one shirt in it, which is what's in the video. But I actually think, you may look at this and be like, that's pretty stupid. It's a robot folding a shirt. And I don't think that's the use case. What I see in it is the dexterity of the fingers on this robot and how much better it has gotten in a short period of time. I mean, the fine motor skills of grabbing and folding a shirt and pinching and all that stuff is something we all take for granted because anybody with two good hands can do it. But I love, by the way, the one below it too.
Are you talking about the gun, or are you talking about the first thing I saw was the Terminator?
Well, I like the guys. I like the guy's comment 5 times August on here. He says first it's the shirts, then, and it's from obviously Terminator, and it's the robot, the famous scene of the robot in T2, stepping on human skulls. So that's going to come up over and over again with any humanoid robot. Anyway, I just think it's super cool, and it leads into tomorrow's conversation, which is actually about the title of tomorrow's show is introducing or welcome to your next AI robot, your car. Because what Elon said, and I thought it was really interesting, I think Andy brought it up too, is there is a lot of overlap between this robot we see folding shirts and Teslas, or put any car into there. And he was just talking about how your car is essentially an AI robot, whether you choose to see it that way or not. That's definitely the way it's going. So that's tomorrow's conversation. We'll get all into that in the fun, sort of a fun conversation. But just wanted to bring it up because it was in the news, and Elon's been known for putting some inflammatory, whatever you want to call it, on X. So, but I like this one. I thought this one was actually pretty cool. All right, fast round here. Anybody else got some 20-second stories, 30-second stories? We'll do 1 or 2 more.
Apple closing San Diego AI team, which is Siri, and moving them to Texas. So not sure. Karl and I were talking about this. It's just a play to there are speculations all around this.
And it's the Siri team.
And it is definitely the Siri team.
There's 2 of them. They're combining them.
And the Siri team is the biggest consumer, or the Siri is the biggest consumer AI that gets the most play. Why isn't Siri as good as ChatGPT voice, right?
And let me just be clear, that's a huge PR play. They could have said we're firing these people, but instead we're like, hey, we're moving, and everybody who doesn't want to move, sorry, you're fired. So
yes.
Well, I will just add to that really quick because it was interesting. However anybody falls on this, they have until April to say yes or no that they're going to move. They also have the opportunity to interview for other inner jobs if they don't want to move. If they do decide to leave and they're terminated, they get 6 months of healthcare, 6 weeks of pay or something like that, and then a week of pay for every year that they've been at Apple. So I don't know, right or wrong, yes or no. Obviously, Apple seems to be trying to take care of people that are going to be disrupted by this, and they can either move and they get a $7,000 stipend to move. I don't know if that's good enough or not anymore in today's environment. I haven't had to move for a job, but interesting nonetheless that they're building up that Austin campus and they're bringing their whole Siri team together, and that's going to definitely disrupt quite a few lives. So interesting. Any other? I have one, but Karl, Beth, you guys have any more?
When you said Tesla, I just remember in the news that Elon wants more, I guess, voting control of Tesla to become leaders in AI and robotics. So he wants more power in Tesla, obviously, when he was
after he sold it to buy Twitter. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Elon. You shouldn't have bought Twitter. We all think that. Or most of us, I guess. The real quick one from me is new study by Anthropic shows AI models can learn to deceive humans. Really interesting story. I would suggest if you're curious about that, go check it out. But basically, this isn't anything to like sound the bells, sound the alarms. It was like, they said it's really hard to do, but it in fact is possible to train an AI to deceive. And so the only thing this makes me think of is, we're all excited about these open models and stuff like that, but there's going to have to be more oversight into this. You can't just take some open model, maybe going down the road, and just dump it on your website, on your computer, or even a business doing that, thinking that they have, a healthy ChatGPT, 4 type version of it, only to find out they have something that's been deceptively deceived to cause chaos within that company, only because the company chose to have something they could have secure on their home computer, or their computers, their servers, thinking that was the way to protect themselves, only to find out that they used a model that was trained to deceive. That, I don't know how quickly that can happen, but that's a big problem. So it was an interesting article. Go check it out. It's by Anthropic. That was pretty cool. All right. Any others?
Yeah. And that might be a show too, because it's the fact that it comes from Anthropic is interesting. One of the details in that was that explaining the consequences of deception, that it was hurting people, was just made them more likely to keep the secret, not actually more likely to not hurt people. And Anthropic is the constitutional AI company, right? So everything's been trained based on this. I do not know, based on this, whether this is a constitutional AI trained model that then is this, and that's something that I think is worth investigating. And none of the other models that we're talking about are constitutionally trained models, so super relevant for the other things too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be talking about AI robots, aka your car. Friday, we're talking about scams. We should have an interview coming out either tomorrow or Friday that we did earlier this week with Amanda Bickerstaff. She is the CEO. She started up a company called AI for Education. Awesome interview. Amanda was amazing. Me and Beth had time to hang out with her. We will definitely be having her back again because we didn't nearly cover all the things. Go check out our other interview. We have 2 other interviews. We have Roll AI, and we also have an interview with Nicole Leffer, who is an AI expert when it comes to marketing. So that's already live. So is the Roll one. And we'll have Amanda's coming out this week. So go check those out as they come out, as we continue to expand on our Daily AI Show interview series, which is in addition to these shows as well. Okay, that's it. See you guys. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Happy Wednesday.